Okay, all good. So I'm in the clip. I will pretend I'm not being recorded, but I need to remember so as I don't say any controversial stuff. No, when it mentions the topic of Israel and Palestine. طيب, I'll take a chair here to sit when I need. But let's see. Okay, so let me begin. I think our discussion today, I'll begin by reciting Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Quick introduction. My name is Akhyar. Some of you have known me. Let's see me somewhere, a little bit less, some others less maybe. I am a CS graduate from here, class of 2020. So that was about close to 6 years ago. Wow, I'm old. Alhamdulillah, I returned to Qatar recently. I was working outside in Indonesia and I came back here. That's where I'm from. I was the president of MSA for 2 years, between 2017 and 2018, and I had a lot of good memories. The MSA saved me from worse things that could happen in university and kept me until I graduated, alhamdulillah. So I would like to share, or maybe we'll do a discussion, but this is also going to be a lot of my part sharing. Discussions look a little bit different from the times that I had, and I think the discussions content today is actually a little bit better. So I've been coming to a few of the discussions, the cookies and karak discussions. Well, now we don't have cookies nor karak, so the name should have been really cookies and karak and conversation, so that if there's no cookies and karak, there's still a conversation. But that does not, the short for that is not nice. So instead of, so we'll here we are at cookies and karak without cookies and karak. But I will share with you, we'll go through some historic stories, and I want to talk about the victories in Ramadan. Okay, the victories that were won, the battles that were won in Ramadan, and there are many battles that were won in Ramadan, and Ramadan is a victorious. How do you pronounce this word? Victorious, yes, victorious word, month, right? And actually for Indonesians, I see three here, we have like a special saying, like actually in Eid, we often say, Minal Aidin wal Faizin, Minal Aidin wal Faizin. Okay, I think that's the proper Arabic, which is from Jalanallahu Minal Aidin wal Faizin. I think it's just trying to say, may Allah make us among those who return victorious, okay. And I think some people from Sham say this as well. This is something that we say, and this rhymes nicely with another Indonesian saying, to which we ask for forgiveness, mohon maaf lahir dan batin, and it's made as a political propaganda as well in the 80s as a very popular song. So that's why we say this. Subhanallah. Okay, so that's Ramadan is a victorious month, and there's a lot of victories that Allah has granted the Muslims during Ramadan. And I think even before the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but we're gonna just focus today, or I want to share focus today on the battles after the Prophet ﷺ. And what's the goal? Why do we speak about this? Because in Ramadan, well, this Ramadan, alhamdulillah, Allah has attained us, to the beginning of Ramadan, and we are hoping to gain some personal victories. Okay, and I'm hoping that throughout looking at the history of our ummah, we will be inspired to pursue our own victory, and to also understand kind of like what attitude do we want in pursuing this victory and in attaining these victories as well. So there's many battles, militarily speaking, and I'm going to speak about militaries here. That's won in Ramadan. Who can name a few? Who can name one? Which battle was won during Ramadan in the history of Badr? Yes, Battle of Badr was the first battle of the Muslim Ummah, the most pivotal one. And in fact, we're going to take most of our time to discuss two battles today. One of them is Battle of Badr. The conquest of Mecca, Fatu Mecca, is also happened in Ramadan. Largely violence-less conquest when they just walked in and took Mecca. There's a few after this. The small Muslim, people from this Arabian Peninsula took on giants, empires, superpower of their time. And one of them, there's two that's been fighting for hundreds of years and neither side has won. the Romans, or the Byzantine Empire, and the Persians, right? And the Muslims took on the Persians in the Battle of Qadisiyah. That is also in Ramadan, and they won. Okay, 30,000 against 100,000. Okay, this is a huge battle that the Muslims won. Other battles, okay, I will mention quickly. Battle of Andalus, okay, in which, we take this a bit for granted today, but Spain was a Muslim civilization for 750 years. It's a long time, bro. Like, US is a superpower for 200 years now. Imagine 750 years of civilization, right? So a lot of Muslims lived, died there, produced scholarship, and so on, and worshipped there. Tariq ibn Ziyad, he fought that battle of, I think the name is Battle of Guadalete, and he opened the path to the civilization of Islam in Andalus or in Spain. Battle of, furthermore, there is more. Okay, there is, of course, Battle of, if anyone here from Pakistan? No? Okay, that's a surprise. Okay, but yes, in Pakistan, Sindh area, modern-day Karachi, the last Hindu king who ever ruled there, okay, was defeated by a 17-year-old young Sultan, Muhammad ibn Qasim, and in a battle called Battle of Aror. Then, of course, this is a battle that's for the ages, the Battle of Hattin, which is the battle that opened the doors to Jerusalem, to Palestine. Okay. And the Muslims hold Palestine for a very, very long time. After that, well, we lost it a little bit in the middle, but I'll get to that point. So that's the battle won by Salahuddin, where he crushed the Franks, the Crusaders. Then there is also, after that, there's even one more thing. I mean, for me, one thing that is hold dear to my hand: the Indonesian independence from the Dutch. Okay, is actually, it was proclaimed in Ramadan. Okay, so the scholars, they advised the politicians, the young politicians, and the young, movement leaders to proclaim the independence a few days after the fall of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. Right, so Indonesia declared independence from the Dutch and from Japan, and one external international party recognized Indonesia first. This is a story of like a Muslim unity. Can you guess where this party is from? It's not Egypt. It is actually Palestine. Okay, so the one who issued the first acknowledgement of the Indonesian independence. Okay, Indonesia is a huge country, biggest Muslim country in the world now, was the Grand Mufti of Palestine, by the name of Sheikh Muhammad Amin Al-Husseini, I think. So he recognized that. So we go way back. We're not free until all of us are free. There is a bunch of battles. Now, we're going to go into two battles today. Battle of Badr and Battle of Hattin. And we'll try to reflect and discuss a little bit. How do we find ourselves like pursuing the victories, okay, like these people did, and what we will do roughly, what do we do after we attain these victories, and what did our predecessors of the Ummah did? What did they do? So, two battles, and I'm not going to go into the historical controversy or nitty-gritty details about certain characters and whatnot. It's going to be pretty much largely accepted histories from both like the Muslim sources and non-Muslim sources. And I'm not a historian either, so if one of you is more knowledgeable than me in historical facts, you can correct me. I have several sources here that I will cite real quick. So there's the great series, Salahuddin Generation, from Yaqeen Institute, recently completed as of last week. Amazing series on YouTube. Everybody should give that a check. Overview of Tafsir Surah Al-Anfal by Sheikh Yasir Qadi. Victories of Ramadan, a khutbah by Sheikh Yasir Qadi again. The first, Abdullah ibn Maktoum from Yaqeen Institute, also Sheikh Omar Sulaiman, he's given talks here several times, and several web sources, Islam Web, Islam Qa, Islam QA, and Seeker's Guidance. So this is a few sources, and we're going to get into it. So the first battle is the Battle of Badr. What is the significance of the Battle of Badr? Let's take a look. We're going to go into the context and the background of the battle, and we will try to get an appreciation, okay, perhaps, of how the struggle was, okay, inside that month of Ramadan, in the time of the Prophet. So let's put some background into the picture, right, to the scene. The Muslims, they just ran away from Mecca, right? They just migrated from Mecca due to the intense persecution that they faced in Mecca. They were not allowed to practice Islam openly, right? A few Sahaba died. They were boycotted for 3 years. No tribes were willing to trade with them, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ wives died in that. Khadija radiallahu anha died in that boycott as well. His uncle also died not long after that. So it was the Muslims was relatively in a weak state, but they managed, right, through Allah granted some smaller victories there, okay, which is that a few Sahaba, a few companions of the Prophet ﷺ went to Medina and preached Islam there and was accepted, right? Very young people, Mus'ab ibn Umayr and Abdullah ibn Maktum, okay, 2 people, and they went there and got accepted. So the Muslims, they emigrated, all of them, almost all of them, to Medina, and they created a state. For the first time, there is kind of like a political, there's some sort of political force, right, being there. There's a state, they have like their own leader and so on, right? So this is early for the Muslims. And now, when the Muslims left Mecca, right, it also automatically creates like a war between Medina and Mecca. Not Medina and Mecca, but between people of Muslims in Medina and people of Mecca, because they have been, at odds for a long time. The Muslims were not allowed to, for example, perform terrorism inside Mecca, or assassinate people, okay, enemies of the Quraysh randomly, right? So they were not doing that, right? But now that there are 2 different states, they are fighting, right? They're fighting. So the Muslims lost a lot of their also wealth, okay? So the Mecca was in a position of economic power. I think some people, when they think of the Quraysh, they put a picture, including myself actually for a long time. They put I used to put a picture of like, oh, these are kind of like backwards people, poor people of the desert, of the desert, right? They are not like from the big empires like Rome or Persia, and they must be pretty poor. This is not true, okay? The Quraysh was pretty rich, okay? They were very rich for the region that they controlled. And the reason for that was they controlled a very critical trade route, okay? You see, in that time, there's no shipping by the sea, so logistics went by land, right? What's the most famous trade route in history? The Silk Road, yes. The Silk Road passes through Damascus, Sham, okay? There's another trade route from Africa that ends in Yemen, okay? What's between Sham and Yemen? Mecca, okay? Right? What's between Sham and Yemen? Mecca. So the Quraysh literally was kind of like the owner of this trade route, shipping probably tens of millions of dollars of wealth, okay, across like every time, and they got a good share of it themselves. They were in pretty good shape, right? So the Quraysh, even this is mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Quraysh, right? لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشِ إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ, the 2 caravans, okay, that the Quraysh is mentioned as a blessing to the Quraysh, okay? 2 caravans. They went in 1 year. They went for a part of the year to Yemen, go back. They went another part to Damascus, go back. Basically, that's how they did it, right? So every year they would go back and forth, right? So you'll get your goods, transferred and shipped and sold, and connected these 2 major kind of like human civilizations from Africa and Asia and Europe, right? So that's what the Quraysh did. So news came, or rather, first the Muslims started attacking these supplies, okay, the trade routes of the Quraysh, okay. They were not in a position of wealth. So news came that there is a big caravan. There's a big caravan led by Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan is one of the leaders of Quraysh, right? They are going back from Damascus to Mecca, okay, bringing what surely will be a lot of wealth, right? So the Muslims prepared some volunteers, okay, gathered some volunteers, the Prophet ﷺ, and asked people who would like to join this mission, this expedition, okay? 300 people signed up, right? 300 people signed up, and they went, right? Now, while they have left the city of Medina, there's conflicting reports started coming, right? It's like something's happening. It's not really a caravan that's passing through this route. It's an army, okay? So the Prophet ﷺ got a revelation that, they know that it's going to be, they're either going to meet one of the two, okay? Abu Sufyan or Abu Jahl. So Abu Sufyan, it turns out, okay, has prepared for this ambush by the Muslims, okay, and called on Abu Jahl, okay, prepare please an army from Mecca, okay, and I will take a detour. So instead of getting close to Medina, Abu Sufyan took an expensive detour, and he put basically where he's supposed to cross Abu Jahl.
Remind us who they are.
Yes. So Abu Sufyan and Abu Jahl both are leaders of Makkah, of the Quraysh, and they are at this time enemies of the Prophet. Abu Sufyan would later convert to become a companion, but and he was the father of Muawiyah, who started a dynasty after that, Islamic caliphates. But at this time he was an enemy of Islam. So Abu Sufyan was one of the leaders of Quraysh. Abu Jahl was also one of the leaders of Quraysh, right? Abu Jahl was someone who persecuted the Muslims very, very intensely in Mecca. So, and the Prophet ﷺ received a revelation that, or Allah informed him that Allah promised him that he will win over one of the two, okay, over one of the two. Well, Allah did not say which one, okay, that's gonna come. So, when the confirmation came, right, when the confirmation came that in fact what they're going to meet is not the caravan, okay? They're going to meet an entire army of Abu Jahl, 1,000 men, mercenaries and trained people, right? Armed guards, fully armed, okay? And they're not even, the Muslims were not in like full armor or anything. They were doing this as a smaller expedition, right? They were not planning to go on a full-blown war against the Quraysh. So it was a critical situation. Now, I think most of us, let's pause here for a little bit. Most of us, we have not been in a situation where, tomorrow we'll meet an army, okay, which is triple our size, and we're about to fight it to the death, and it's very likely that we're gonna be wiped out, okay. So this kind of crisis, probably, okay, is not it's not something that we have faced. But imagine, the tawakkul of the Sahaba, right, of the Prophet ﷺ, the belief, right, in Allah and His Messenger, to follow basically, whatever is going to happen. So maybe I would like to open a question first for you all, and which is, I want to draw from our own experience, right? How have you relied on Allah, doing tawakkul essentially, in your own times of crisis? Okay, and which verses, I think a few of you might be more knowledgeable of this, which verses or hadith or dua do you turn to, okay, when you are in a critical, in a crisis situation? Does anyone want to share? Yes, please.
The dua of Prophet Yunus.
Story about Prophet Yunus. The dua of Prophet Yunus. Can you recite the dua to us, if you remember?
I know, but I forgot right now.
Okay. What's the meaning in essence? Let me find that as well. I don't remember it on top of my head as well. Dua of Prophet Yunus is a very good. Okay. Yes, of course. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh dhalimin. Right? Why does this verse inspire you? Why does this dua inspire you? You don't know how to explain. Sorry?
I understand it, but I don't know how to.
You understand it, but you don't. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's a dua that's, I think, was said obviously in the moment of massive crisis. Okay, you just got swallowed by a whale. Okay, somehow you stayed alive through that. Okay, you don't know what comes next. And Prophet Yunus alayhi salam recited this dua: La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh dhalimin. Okay. Any other inputs? Any other ideas? Which dua or which verse do you turn to when it comes to crisis, times of crisis, times of difficulty? I have personally, I have one that I kind of only recently took up the past 2 years.
Someone wants to share something.
Sorry?
Someone raised their hand to share.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry. Okay, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like a dua, but it's like an ayah from the Quran.
It's ayah from the Quran.
Which is Baqarah. It's وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. So like if when a servant asks you about me, I am near. I respond to one's prayer when they call upon me, so let them respond with obedience and believe in me, how to be guided. So like this just always like helps me whenever I'm in some sort of like crisis or something. I just remember to like make dua to Allah because it's like
Oh, subhanAllah. Yeah, this is very good. This is beautiful. I think this verse was also my favorite, my go-to for like a number of years. In the sense that, okay, it assures us, right? So this is where the Quran comes to play in our life, right? There's so much resource from the Quran, so much dua, so much assurance, okay, to us that if we rely on Allah, then things will turn out okay, right? And Allah does not, burden His slave more than what he can hold, what he can bear. So, excellent. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
So,
Yes.
any calamity I face, I always think back to, have I done anything wrong?
Okay.
There is a connection to, there is some connection to maybe punishment of this world,
Okay.
actions that you have done as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, like, obviously, I don't put the full blame of any calamity that befall on me based on my actions, but I still do have like a thought in the back of my mind. Oh, is it because I did that? Is it because I did this? Like, for example, not for example, but so I'll go to when I had like knee surgeries. This is only the biggest calamity. Alhamdulillah, I haven't faced anything big. So the only substantial example I can give you is when I was stuck in like either in the hospital because of my knee surgery, or I'm at home like can't move.
Okay.
So I would always the only dua I would repeat is Sayyidatul Istighfar.
Sayyidatul Istighfar.
Sayyidatul Istighfar, which is known to be by the Prophet ﷺ the best dua to ask forgiveness from Allah. It's a complete dua from start to finish.
Allahumma anta rabbi.
La ilaha illa anta khalaqtani wa ana abduk wa ana ala ahdika wa wa'dika ma istata'at. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي. If any of the brothers can translate that, it would really help.
Allahumma anta rabbi, la ilaha illallah, you are my Lord, la ilaha illa ant. There's no God besides you. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, khalaqtani wa ana abduka, you created me, and I'm your servant. Wa ana ala ahdika wa wa'dika mastata'at, and I am on your guidance, on your path, as much as I can. I think this is a very good part of the dua, right? Which is that, Ya Allah, please, I'm trying. Okay? I'm trying, show that you're trying, right? And I like the next part as well. And we ask Allah for protection from the evil of our own deeds. Okay, like something got me here. Okay, maybe something that I don't understand. Okay, but Allah, please protect me from that, right? I admit to. Okay, it's interesting when you ask for forgiveness. You admit not only to the sin that you might have done, but also to the ni'mah. I admit to the, blessings, acknowledge the blessings that you've given me, and also the sins that I've done, right? And so, please forgive me, for there's no one who can forgive except you.
Another thing I would add for the dua, in the beginning, you establish yourself that like you're nothing.
Yeah.
Anta Rabbi, you are my Lord, wa ana abduk, I am your slave. You humble yourself and then you ask for forgiveness. The structure of the whole dua is beautiful.
Structure of the whole dua is beautiful. And I think when we go back to the Quran, we go back to the stories of the prophets or the history, we always see, and this is, Allah teaches us in Surah Al-Duha as well, right? That, when Prophet ﷺ was feeling bleak because there's no revelation and he was like, did my Lord abandon me? Allah said, right, He did not abandon you, and ask Him to remember from the past, from His past, right? Alam yajidika yatiman fa'awa. Did I not find you a yatim, an orphan, right? And care for you, right? وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى. And you were lost, okay? And I guided you, right? وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And you were poor, and I made you sufficient, right? So this is some lessons. Now, many examples we can talk about, right? Now let's go back to Badr, right? Very desperate situation. Next, we have the Muslims barely armed, untrained, trying to face an army. Now, the first historical event that happened here is very interesting. We know that the Prophet ﷺ gathered everyone, okay, and he asked for their opinion, okay, what should they do? Okay, should they try to fight this, or they should just, run for their lives? Okay, go back to Medina. So one of the Muhajirin, okay, people of Mecca, he stood up, okay, I think in some records it's Abu Bakr, and give a rousing speech. We should do and we should fight and so on. We'll follow you and so on. The Prophet ﷺ thanked him and let him sit down. Then he asked again the second time, should we, should we do this? Okay, should we go? All right. Another Muhajirin rose up, and I think another narration is Umar, and again gave a speech that we should fight and so on. Allah is with us and so on, right? And Allah also asked him to sit down. So 3 times the Prophet ﷺ asked, okay, and until someone from the Ansar stood up, okay. This was Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh, okay, and he is the leader of the Khazraj in Ansar, one of the major tribes. One of the 2 major tribes in Medina that was there before the Prophet ﷺ came, right? So he said, right, perhaps you are asking about us, right? And the composition of the Muslims at that time was 300 people-ish, right? More than 200 was Ansars, okay? The rest was the Muhajirin, right? So people from Mecca, the Muhajirin are people who migrated from Mecca, and the Ansar is the people who were from Medina, right? Who just became Muslim recently, right? And they pledged, the people of Medina pledged that they would protect Rasulullah ﷺ like they would protect their family if the people of Quraysh attacked them at their homes. This was their previous pledge, okay? Now this is a bit of a different situation. They're not at home, they're in the battlefield, okay? It's kind of like almost like an offensive war, okay? They didn't sign up for that, right? So the Prophet ﷺ waited for their opinion, right? So Sa'ad, there's a record here, I'm going to read it out. Quote, Sa'ad bin Mu'adh said, "O Allah, Ya Rasulullah, perhaps it is us whom you meant," right? The Prophet ﷺ nodded, and Sa'ad said, "We have faith and believed in you, testified that what you brought is the truth, and gave you our pledges and promises of allegiance and obedience. Therefore march, Ya Rasulullah, for what Allah has commanded you. Verily, by He who has sent you the truth, if you decided to cross the sea, okay, we will follow you in it, okay, and none among us would stay behind. We do not dislike that we meet our enemy tomorrow. We are patient in war, fierce in battle. May Allah make you witness what makes your eyes pleased with us. So march with us with the blessing of Allah, right?" So this is a very powerful response. So it shows us one thing, that the Prophet ﷺ seeks unity, right? And seeks, like, this is kind of like in a forum, a communal thing, of course, different from like our personal thing, but or of a personal challenge. It's kind of like a communal challenge, right? But Allah seeks. The Prophet ﷺ, could have just said that I'm the Prophet. Okay, let's go. Okay, you follow me, or otherwise you have rebelled against the religion, right? But that's not how he did it, right? He knew what the political pledge was, okay, and this is something different, okay, and he asked for the opinions of the Ansar. So that's the first thing that he did. Second thing that we also know, that Prophet ﷺ spent the night praying, okay, throughout the night before the battle. He made dua, had his hands up, okay. According to one narration, he had his hand up until the morning, okay, until wind blew his clothes away and he was left bare-chested. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu then took his clothes, draped it over him, and said, "Enough, Ya Rasulullah, Allah has heard your dua. Now it's time for us to go to battle." Okay. So how did Allah help the Prophet ﷺ in Badr? Okay, who knows a thing or two about Badr? How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally send help in this time of crisis, this impossible encounter? There's the most famous example, but let's not go to the most famous example. Let's go one by one, right? Well, the most famous and also the first one. So Surah Al-Anfal talks about this, the blessings and the things that happened in the Battle of Badr. Okay, in verse 9 of Surah Al-Anfal, the 8th surah of the Quran, إِذْ تَسْتَغِيثُونَ رَبَّكُمْ فَاسْتَجَابَ لَكُمْ أَنَّ مُمِدُّكُمْ بِأَلْفٍ مِنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, right? مِنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ مُرْدِفِينَ. When you cried out to your Lord, when you beseech your Lord for help, He answered, "I will reinforce you with 1,000 angels." Okay, so one thing that happened was that angels were physically sent down for the occasion. Okay, don't take it from the only Muslim historians or Muslim sources. Okay, after everything, after a few years, I ended up becoming Muslim sources. But there's records from the enemy side. Okay, right? Abu Lahab did not go to Battle of Badr. Okay, so some of the biggest of the enemies of the Prophet was in the Battle of Badr, right? Abu Jahl was in the Battle of Badr. Umayyah bin Khalaf, who tortured Bilal, right, was in the Battle of Badr. Al-As himself, the father of Amr bin As. Utbah and Shayba bin Rabi'ah, also leaders of the Quraysh, they were also part of that battle, right? Abu Lahab was not part of the battle, okay? But he was in, something that happened afterwards was that, he was waiting in Mecca and he waited for news, okay? What was the news, okay? Like from the Battle of Badr, did we crush the Muslims finally, did we get it? Was this, fundraising not in waste, okay? Did we win everything? And the person who spoke to him said that we are completely massacred, okay? Angels came down, okay, and slaughtered us, okay? We were thrown left and right, okay? Everything was destroyed, okay? And people got captured and people got killed, and so Abu Lahab was very mad over this, and a small incident, okay? Somehow he also died because of Badr, okay? He was alive here at this point in time. He was so mad when he heard this news, okay? This news. One of the slaves of, I think, Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, was there with him, okay, in Mecca, with the wife of Abbas, okay? And he was a secret Muslim. He did not migrate, okay? He was so happy, okay, when he heard this news, okay, that the Muslims won, okay? So Abu Lahab saw that he was happy, started beating him up, okay? It's like he let it out, right? He let out that he was happy. It was like beating him, okay? It's like, what are you doing? It's like, and so on, right? Until the wife of Abbas intervened, I think took a rock or something, and then Abu Lahab struck his head, okay? Stop, don't, it's not your slave, okay? Right? And he was just bleeding, but this wound become infected, okay? And he passed, okay, I think a few weeks or days after that, okay, from his infection. SubhanAllah is like, okay, it's not even like he was trying to run away from Badr, okay? He paid someone to go in his behalf, actually, right? So this is it, okay? But Allah granted victory through the angels, right? Allah also granted victory through other things. In verse 11, right? I'll just read the translation. Remember when He caused drowsiness to overcome you. Now, I think I see some drowsiness, okay? In the middle of Ramadan, okay? Glucose running low here, okay? But Allah here mentioned, right? Remember when He caused drowsiness to overcome you, giving you serenity. He sent down rain from the sky to purify you, free you from Satan's whispers, strengthen your hearts and make your steps firm. So what happened? You can imagine the tension. Tomorrow you're going to fight an army that you are likely to get killed by any material calculations, okay, or physical calculations, right, or human calculations. But the Muslims managed to sleep. The Muslims managed to sleep, okay, at this time. And He sent down rain from the sky to purify you, right? And the rain, Allah sent a drizzle of rain just enough so that your feet does not sink into the sand, okay? The steps are firm. So that is a little bit of the help that Allah has given, right? And there's a very famous verse, I will recite a portion of the verse, right? That Allah asks us to remember when He granted victory. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. The Prophet ﷺ, before the battle started, he took some pebbles and dust and threw it in the direction of the army, far away. But the mushrikeen actually felt lots of dust, okay, just coming their way. And in this verse, Allah says, right, it was not you, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ. It was not you who threw when you threw, okay, but it was Allah who threw, okay. So Allah is saying, really, when you do something, it's not really you, okay, who has achieved it, okay. It is Allah who make an action of yours has any impact, right? We, and this is a bit philosophical, but I firmly believe that all we can do is just will. We can, will or want to do something, and this is what we are judged by. Like, I can will to raise my hand, but if Allah does not let me raise my hand, it will not raise. Okay, right? I can will to speak to you. I can will to come here. But if Allah does not let me, I will not be able to do anything. Right? This is the freedom that Allah gave us, the free will. But that's much about it. So let's go back and to reflect on ourselves here. So Prophet ﷺ received lots of help from Allah in winning the Battle of Badr, right? If we go back to our own lives, how has Allah resolved the crisis for you before? How has Allah, from some past incidents, Allah eases you from a direction that you did not expect. So Allah is Al-Latif, right? This victory would not have come to the Muslims really in so many ways. Like if they knew that they were facing the Abu Jahl's army, they wouldn't have left Medina. They wouldn't have left Medina, right? If they knew as well, right? If they did not manage to sleep, the outcome would have been very different, right? If they were not given hope by Allah that there is going to be, you will win one of the battle, right? Then it will not happen, right? And if Allah has not moved the hearts of the Ansar to proclaim that they will follow the Prophet ﷺ, right, into the battle, into an offensive battle, and become part of his army, it also would not happen, right? So there's so many things that's like subtle things that happened here that literally led the Muslims to win that impossible major battle. So yeah, getting back to ourselves, how so I'm interested here to for us to reflect on what are some ways, that can we find some ways from our experience Allah has helped us, okay? And it's good to remember these times, and it's also good to mention them, right? As a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How did Allah help you in times of crisis?
Every day.
Every day? Every day is a crisis for you? Okay, mashallah.
Like, recently I realized, like, sometimes weeks get so heavy, right? We have all the courses and things are going on. I expect, like, okay, today, this course, I'm gonna give up on the grade.
Okay.
Or, like, today, like, definitely, like, it's, like, it doesn't fit to 24 hours.
Okay.
I'm gonna give up on the semester.
Okay.
Some things get cancelled, some things, like,
Get moved.
naturally
Naturally
or
happen.
professor gets sick or something like that. And
Okay.
it naturally follows that I'm still alive or something like that.
Subhanallah.
And
Subhanallah.
like, I want to talk about like specific examples. So like before coming to CMU, there was one professor. Okay, I was in another like foundation year.
Okay.
And he would love to speak things from very non-Islamic perspective, like purely Western perspective, tries to teach critical thinking
Okay.
into his own philosophical.
Okay. In his philosophical ways.
And then he openly claims things that, for example, we Muslims don't agree.
Okay.
And then I was like, let me just try doing the right thing. And then I kept debating, arguing with him all the time.
Did you pass?
Then what I expected was, okay, he hates me. And at first it was obvious, like, because he would say bad things to other students about me. And then lots of people started thinking that, like, oh, like, okay. At the end, turns out professor happens to like debates.
Okay.
And then he wrote me a really good recommendation letter.
Okay. So
And then I'm here.
okay. See, some buttons are meant to be pushed. Okay.
If we keep trying to do the right things, Allah is all watching. Like maybe we see the output, maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, inshallah, everything is gonna be.
Subhanallah.
right thing.
Subhanallah. Yeah. And if you've not tried to debate him, he would not write you that recommendation letter. So.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's one thing. Yeah. Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. Thank you, sister. What's your good name? What's your good name? What's your name? Sorry.
Medina.
Madina, mashallah. Okay. So that's
It's gonna be a bit long, but
it's fine.
All long stories.
yeah, no. When you mention of how how Allah changes the trajectory of things in subtle ways, it made me think of the trajectory of my like academic career.
Okay.
I was never gonna get into information systems.
Okay.
And, like as someone who's young, I was either going to go to robotics engineering or somewhere. I had like a dream of doing it's called marine biology too.
Okay.
But CMU-Qatar was never part of my options.
Okay.
Because like
Same.
I was not like my parents know that we have financial limits at home.
Okay.
You know, they can't pay for big unis. So my path was either Indonesia or Malaysia, right? CMU was like a long shot. And then like in one of the events, I met like a person that like told me about like IS, and then like I have another friend who's also applying, and he told me the whole process of like the grant, right? My parents did not believe at all that I would have gotten in.
Okay.
And they told me like, just go to Indonesia, just sit down, literally sit down.
Yeah.
But I told them, you know, who knows? Like, let me shoot my shot and see what happens. And then, like, as time passes by, I see more and more things that, like, another thing is, in my compound, like, during summer, before even, like, the applications, my brother met a guy. He told me, Stan, aren't you applying to CMU? I'm like, yeah, what's up? There's a guy in our masjid who's also in CMU. What? This entire time, and so I talked to him, and then you guys know him,
Hazm, okay.
Hazm. He lives in my compound way before like I got in.
Okay.
And so I met with Hazm, asked him, well, how's CMU and whatnot, what should I do and whatnot, and through him I got to know like a lot of how things work in CMU. So what's it called? And then when I set my trajectory to go to CMU. My biggest concern of university life was friends.
Okay.
And I pray to Allah like a lot to surround me with people who are good. Okay. And I don't know this, but now I realize, I'm reflecting, that Allah placed Hazm in my life as an answer to that dua. And because of him, I got close to CMU MSA. I got close to the Noor MSA. Through him, I'm surrounded with the people who are khair. So like now that like I'm looking back, subhanAllah, Allah literally like will place pieces of the puzzle that you only notice if you really look back.
Yeah. So this is important actually to look back and to reflect on the wins, okay? And it plays into a very important, I think, next theme that we have. We have just a short time, but let me go through some of the important concepts. We will not manage to cover the entire Battle of Hattin. But yes, subhanAllah. Hopefully, if we get another chance another time, we can go through them. But I want to show something. Can we display something? I can send you a link, just for a few minutes.
We have already. Speed of light.
Do you have WhatsApp on your laptop, Sultan? I'll send you a WhatsApp message. Sultan. Yeah, no karak, guys. No karak, no cookies. It's coming from. Okay. How do you? Okay, it's fine. Wait. Let me see. Do we have the arrow controls working?
Oh, okay.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I want to take you guys a little bit into a topic that we have to, just a short trip, because it's important to mention, I think, in the small time that we have. So 1187, we liberated Al-Aqsa. By we here, I mean, it's the famous Salahuddin Al-Ayyubi, right? He fought in Ramadan the Battle of Hattin. Okay, same year, 1187. Few short months. The Battle of Hattin is a major victory, maybe the first major victory, okay, against the Crusades in a number of, like, okay, maybe not the first, but like the biggest victory against the Crusaders in like nearly 100 years, 88 years. And what's worth to understand from this, and I would recommend you the series Salahuddin Generation by Yaqeen Institute to dig into this further, the historical facts, is that this battle is also a culmination of many struggles of many people. Can you go to next? Yeah, let's just go next. So 1099 was the time that the Jerusalem was lost, okay, to the Franks. They gathered up under their Pope Urban, I think, and he told everyone, "Let's go get Jerusalem. The Muslims are, savages. They're killing Christians there and whatnot." So they went and marched and killed everyone there. Okay, so that's what happened, right? 50,000 people massacred in Jerusalem, and those days they didn't have the bombs yet, right? They had to do it one by one, okay, by the sword. And it is said that the blood, their historians mentioned that their blood was basically on the street of Jerusalem like a river to your ankles, okay? The human blood, Muslim blood, because everybody went back to Al-Aqsa and they would let some people out, kill them, like batch, kill them like chickens, right? But the real crisis is, they were actually a backward civilization, right? They were way more behind than the Islamic civilization from science perspective, from hygiene perspective, from philosophy, whatever. They were way behind, okay? Like, they thought, putting holes in people's head will solve headaches, right? So it's not great, right? So how did this happen? How did we lose to, how did the Muslims lost to them? But the Muslims actually was also in a very weak state. The biggest issue at that time was the deviant sects, okay? There's some sects called Ismaili, which started in Morocco, but funnily there's no trace of them left today there. The Ismailis, they basically, they took Islam, they converted it into something like a political tool. Say like, this is the Imam is the descendant of the Prophet, you follow the Imam. The Imam can tell you what the Quran means, okay? The Imam will tell you what the Quran means and you will just have to follow the Imam. Okay,
like and the church now, right?
Yes, sort of like, okay, sort of, right? So that's one way that Islam is corrupted, that basically some people take it and converted it, right? No need for scholars or for anything, just listen to the Imam, okay? Zakat 2.5%? No, 12%, okay? Because the Imam says so, okay? So this is what happened. And they were rulers over many parts of the Muslim world. Hajj was banned. They banned Hajj, okay? They banned Hajj. There's another deviant group also from Bahrain around this time, near this time, who went to Mecca, killed the Hujjaj, okay? Asked, he said, Aina Tayran Ababil, okay? Where is the birds, okay? Okay. He took Hajar Aswad 22 years to Bahrain. There's no Hajar Aswad in Mecca, in Kaaba for a long time. These were dark days, okay? This is worse than what we have today. They started a revolution, the scholars. Nizam al-Mulk was a vizier of the Seljuk Empire, one of the remaining Sunni strength at that time. People who actually tries to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right? So he started this what's called a Nizamiya school, okay, which ended up birthing many scholars, including Imam al-Ghazali, who was educated and became the head of the school at 33 years old, and he started a lot of reform. He, okay, as a scholar, went to basically, reform. He saw that the issue was the scholars, the rulers, they love their status, they love their wealth, they love their, they have too much love for this dunya. They cannot sacrifice anything, okay? It's like, if it gets tough, several instances it happened when, for example, 2 or 3 Muslim rulers, one of them is sieged by the Franks, the other 2 would help the Franks, okay? Would help the Crusaders, okay? Let me beat down my brother, okay? I've been in feud with him for a long time. Let's kill him, okay? Then we'll get a truce, okay? Something like that. So many cases, okay? So he went and he wrote this masterpiece as we learned today, Ihya Ulumuddin. Can you go to the next one? And I'll go to a bunch of scholars here real quick. So people who started writing about jihad, people who started, scholars who started preaching to the mountains, okay? Mountains of Kurdistan, and started preaching to people there. People who scholars who tried to move the rulers, okay? And gather armies. Generals who got assassinated because they were trying to fight the Franks or unify Muslims. Maudud al-Bursuqi was killed, okay? 1113 was killed. Al-Bursuqi, another general, was killed. His general, Imad bin Zangi, was also killed, okay? Assassinated, all of them, okay? Every time somebody tried to do a revolution or a change, they got assassinated, right? Meanwhile, the scholarship continues, okay? Ibn al-Jawzi took the best of Imam al-Ghazali, straightened up the wrong hadith or the mistaken hadith, created Minhaj al-Qasidin. Abu Qudama al-Maqdisi, a few years after that, he created Mukhtasar Minhaj al-Qasidin, which is the essence, okay, of this book, right? And make it applicable to the politicians. He was in the army of Nuruddin Zangi. So, you know, before Salahuddin, it takes a long time, efforts of 50, 60, 70 years, okay, of people trying to straighten Islam back up, right? Until Nuruddin had a general had a nephew, which was Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. He has scholars around him who helps him make decisions. This was the students of Al-Hafidh and Al-Asakir. This was the student, Ibn Shaddad was educated from Nizamiya school. They were the cause, okay, of how to keep Salahuddin straight. And just one thing I want to mention, literally 2 p.m., sorry, 2 more minutes. One thing I want to mention from the victory of Salahuddin al-Ayyubi after the Battle of Hittin, okay? This battle, he won a big battle, crushed all the Franks. You know, what do you think he was like? Okay, was he like, okay, we did it, guys. Okay, khalas. Okay, we've managed to achieve what many our previous did not manage to achieve. Okay, we are the best. Okay, khalas, we win. Okay, and he liberated Al-Aqsa, right? But it was not how he was. One of the most special things about Salahuddin is how he reacted to victories, and this is something that we want to learn and we want to pick up from him. When he received victories, okay, when he has the winning moments of his life, he is humble, okay? And we can see, for example, in one narration, when he liberated Al-Aqsa, and the first Jum'ah khutbah of Al-Aqsa, he made a dua, okay? He chose one dua, and his dua was, you know, guess what it is, right? But it was from Surah, a dua that appears to us in the Quran, Surah Al-Ahqaf, verse 15. The dua goes, Rabbi awzi'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya wa ala waliday wa an a'mala salihan wa aslih li tardahu wa aslih li fi dhurriyyati, which translates to, let me just cover it real quick, right? Oh, I don't have the thing open for some reason. Is it this one? Is it this one? No, I don't have the translation open, but let me try to pull it up. 46:15. 16. 15. So, Rabbi awzi'ni, right? My Lord, inspire me to an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya, to always be thankful for your favors which you blessed me and my parents with. Wa ala waliday, right? And to do good deeds, wa an a'mala salihan tardah, to do good deeds that please you. Wa aslih li fi dhurriyyati inni tubtu wa ilayka wa inni minal muslimin. So Salahuddin made the dua, right? That he can be thankful, okay, for the favors that that Allah has blessed him, right? And I think this is one slippery slope that Shaitan has always looked to, you know, to do. When you do a good deed, you finished attending K&K, you finished, you know, attending a khutbah, you achieved something, you did good grades. You know, there's a strong pressure to just, okay, you're good now, okay, you're good now, okay, take a breather, right? It's time for you. You'll have a good time, right? Have a good time. It's okay, right? Or maybe you fall back into sin somehow, right? That's also happened, right? Just scroll, go doom scrolling. You earned it, right? This is not the attitude of the people who were granted victories, right? True victories, right? Of Aqsa, of the Muslim Ummah. We need to learn, okay, how to put our heads down, and somehow, you know, not slip into the mistakes that our predecessors made. If you go one more slide, just one more important thing. Yeah, and that was because that was coming, right? Shaitan will counterattack after this Ramadan, okay? Like Europe counterattacked, okay? Salahuddin shortly, okay, after he went, and it was like an impossible situation, bro. It was like the toughest battles. He did not get enough credit for this. He fended off the Third Crusades to protect Jerusalem, okay? An entirety of Europe, okay? 2 massive armies from England, France, you know, and even Germany. He fended them off as a single sultan, okay? Did not even get the support of the Abbasid Khalifa, okay? With just what he has, and his financial base was Egypt at that time, right? So It was a huge struggle. It was a huge struggle. I cannot go into the details right now, but it was a huge struggle, right? But if he had let go, if he had let up, during the liberation of Al-Aqsa, it would not have lasted long. It would not have lasted. Everybody, he took his army, go rest and once. He took his most elite soldiers and stayed, okay, in this time, and prepared for the next crusade, for the counterattack of the enemy. So with that, I leave you with hopefully some thoughts. And if anyone wants to add, how do they prevent themselves from letting up after a success, that would be very, very, very welcome. Fadl, last point. How do you, when you earn something, when you earn a success, how do you prevent yourself from letting up, from slacking off, and khalas, I attained it, I reached it.
I think it's continuing the small things.
It's continuing the small things, like what, Sultan?
I'm gonna share from my experience. Okay, so the 10-day challenge, right?
Yeah.
So we have 10-day challenge. I was so happy how I'm consistent, but 10-day challenge is over now. That doesn't mean the challenge, my own challenge is over. I think one thing that keeps me going is the fact that I'm consistently waking up at 5 a.m. If you're consistent at one thing, right? Alhamdulillah. If you succeeded in one big thing, and if you want to keep continuing, at least take one small thing from that big victory and continue doing that. And then maybe, inshallah, more will come.
That's very good. That's very good. So yeah, we will not be able to maintain the same kind of state that we have in Ramadan. But we are going to look, also do Ramadan in kind of a sustainable way. Don't burn yourself completely out, okay? Do it in a way that we will do Ramadan in a way that is consistent, inshallah. It will leave us with something better. Okay? We plan what's going to come after that. Okay? Now we plan from today. Okay? Now you've been preparing for Ramadan. Now you are in Ramadan. You're going to prepare for what comes after that, right? And my personal thing, and I'm still learning this. I'm still struggling. To be honest, it's still also one of my struggles to really not slack off after a particular good deed or a particular good thing that happens. I found just recently, I think one of the things that helps a lot is to be in isolation, read some Quran, okay? And so kind of just give some space to thank Allah before you go to your friends and anything, okay? It helps to put you, calm down, be humble, okay? This is all Allah. It's not you who attained the victory, okay? It's Allah who granted it. And this was what Salahuddin engraved in the reconstruction of Masjid al-Aqsa as well, when Allah granted victory to His servant, right? Not when he attained victory. So with that, hopefully we will attain many great victories. We have yet to see the liberation of Aqsa in our lifetime, inshallah. And we hope that we will also attain the small victories and we will attain a great victory this Ramadan. May Allah accept it from me and you. And may Allah forgive me for anything wrong, any mistake that I made. And I'll recite the dua. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, we're done, but if everyone wants to go. So.
The conquest of Egypt, that's from the Fatimids, right?
That's from the Fatimids, yes, correct. That is, so the